Mike Roscoe, and today I'm going to do a movie review from a teacher's perspective of Dangerous Minds. This 1995 drama is based on Lou Anne Johnson's autobiography, My Posse Don't Do Homework. This formulaic film depicts Johnson, a retired Marine, taking a job as an English teacher in a rough inner-city school plagued by gang violence and activity. Unconventional teaching practices and perseverance allow Johnson to connect with her students, and her students thrive as a result. So let's break down this movie again from a teacher's perspective, discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, the good. Dangerous Minds, like every teaching TV drama and movie that came before and after it, gets one main portion correct. Effective teachers connect with their students and challenge them. While those personal connections can look very different, effective teachers tend to have high standards, both academically and behaviorally. They have well-established and understood classroom procedures, and the students know that their teachers care. We often talk about the importance of relations as a recent change in education. I have to learn these new SEL techniques, but honestly, those have always just been good teaching practice. Only now there's a greater need as we have more students living in chaotic environments, and they need to form meaningful connections as a prerequisite that must be met before actual learning can take place. Lou Anne Johnson's character, like every other successful teacher depicted in TV and movies, and in reality, goes to great lengths to establish meaningful connections with their students and their families. And once established, academic work can take place. Next, the bad. Rough schools and rough students, that's subjective. No one familiar with Carlmont High in Belmont, California is going to view this as a rough inner city school. But why does it need to be? Every school has challenging students, and Carlmont's no exception. Johnson goes in to teach a special program with high IQ, low grade students. Again, students come in a wide variety of abilities and disabilities, and they need to be met in every school. So this movie makes it seem like rough, disenfranchised students only exist in these inner city schools, but guess what? They're everywhere. Another Hollywood necessity seems to involve the need for some opening scene to establish dominance, where the kids are magically in the class before the teacher ever arrives, acting unruly, writing on the board, listening to music, dancing, legs akimbo across desks, and this unspoken battle of wills takes place as the teacher enters the room and tries to get the class's attention to focus on the day's lesson. And the students willfully exhibit this overt obnoxious behavior. In reality, the behaviors are far more subtle. Damaging equipment, quietly damaging pencil sharpeners and equipment through the days, weeks, years is common. These overt battles, well, not so much. They try, and then the next they always seem to need to do is to try to build the one teacher they're highlighting, their credibility. They have to depict the other teachers in the school as these lazy, uncaring burnouts that just don't care, or maybe never cared, and they're not willing to put in the physical time and emotional work needed to be a good teacher. They act as if no other teacher has shown these high school students poetry. It's just absurd. Or the classic, good teachers take a vow of poverty and donate their personal time and money to their students because they care about their students. And finally, the ugly. While valued and appreciated by their students, good teachers aren't compensated for the extra time, money, and energy they put into their schools and districts. The extra time they invest in their students is often to the detriment of their own personal lives and families. A classic movie example of this and a real life example is Jaime Escalante, depicted in the movie Stand and Deliver. A real teacher, taught for many years, stayed effective through his career, but as a result of his effectiveness and his dedication, his class sizes grew larger and larger and larger. Finally, he has classes over 40 students, and yet doesn't get the support he needs from his school or district. Ultimately, he felt the need to move away from the school that he built his career in, traveled to a different school where he couldn't quite build the program he once had. Lou Anne Johnson's character in Dangerous Mind ultimately doesn't make it as a teacher. She teaches for a few years, leaves to write books and become a consultant. She went back in later years to try to teach again in New Mexico, and again leaves after a few years. It could be argued that a decent, consistent teacher is better than no teacher at all. Though Luann Johnson's memoir of her days in the classroom is inspiring in some aspects, it's also disheartening in the depiction of the school setting. The lack of structural supports for teachers and students as shown in the movies result in teachers either leaving the profession or sticking around doing the best they can day to day to survive an environment that neglects them and their students. Is it better to give your all for a few years and then move on, or stay for a full career that could prove detrimental to your own health and well-being? Alas, good teachers in TV and movies often depicted like Boxer the workhorse in Animal Farm that works himself to exhaustion and collapses while trying to make improvements to the farm, and then unceremoniously is sent to a slaughterhouse after years of backbreaking work. Teachers need to seek reward from the good work they do with their students, but highlighting that that's the only way to be a good teacher is to the detriment of the teaching profession. Thank you.